AskReddit by Global Shaft. Identical twins of Reddit who owns a pet after living separately. What was your pet's reaction when it saw two owners? My identical twins dog has never acted to me in a way that implied that he was confused. The human babies are a different story. Human babies make it so obvious too by wagging their tails. Our dog can easily tell them apart. Little children cannot. It's got to be a scent thing mostly, I'd guess. I actually read a sad story about this a few years ago on Quora. A guy's identical twin brother had died and he inherited his brother's dog. The dog did not think the twin was his owner. Except, one day he happened to put on one of his deceased brother's pants. The dog came up to him and immediately started doing the wiggly happy dance until he spoke, and then it was a light switch turned off and he became a barely tolerated stranger again. It was actually kinda heartbreaking to read. Could you imagine the horror show that dog was living in? Moved to a new home, with an owner who looks just like his owner, but didn't smell like him? And suddenly he does smell like him, but doesn't sound like him? Horrifying. I got a cat. Cat decided it only liked my dad. Period. No exception. Well, except for my dad's twin brother. Loved him as much as my dad but never confused them. This is the only human I like. Thankfully, there are two of him. My mother is one of twins. Linus, the cat I had as a child, was a complete worrier, having been traumatized at a young age and being fearful of new people. Yet he was the sweetest cat to us. Linus approached my aunt as soon as she arrived and cuddled up against her leg on that occasion. He was being scratched by her, and everything was going well until he noticed my mother start with very fast head turns back and forth, then race up the stairs and hide for hours. Poor infant. He was definitely mind blown. So not a twin, but a daughter of one. We had a dog called Gromit, who started with my aunt and then moved in with us until her twin sister my mum. He did get confused at first when he'd seen my mum and auntie in the same room and one of them called him, but the confusion did only last for a couple of seconds. Then he would just get excited about cuddles and amp walkies lol. My mum also had a cat called Mitzi. She's a very shy cat and would hide from visitors. When my aunt went round, Mitzi hid, but once my mum left the room she came out and cuddled my aunt as if she was my mum. After that she bonded with both of them. Mitzi now lives with my aunt ever since my mum passed away. She's managing well but does sometimes seem to wonder why there's only one of them at times. I love that your dog's name is Gromit. Removed. Could he tell who was his real owner if you wore the same clothes as your twin? My cat and my quails know my voice. They don't really care about my face. Also, I have very long hair and my sister has short hair. They didn't care more than with any other new visitor. My cat ran away and my quails came to say hi. Can you tell me about how you keep quail? I live in a suburban neighborhood and occasionally see wild quail here. They are such cool looking birds. What's it like to have them as pets? Not quite what you asked, but it reminded me of a funny anecdote I'm sure people will appreciate regardless. We had 3 dogs, 2 lab mixes and a Samoyed mix, so 2 blacks and 1 white. Easy to recognize. Then one day we had to look after a friend's lab because she had to go to a job interview or something. I can't remember why. But this meant there were now 3 black dogs and 1 white. They all ran through the house past the sofa table where the cat was lounging. He didn't care about the first lab mix he knew. He didn't care about the Samoyed mix. He didn't care about the new lab. He freaked out when the elderly lab mix he'd known for over 10 years walked past him because that was 1 black dog too many. And people will claim animals can't count. My brothers are identical twins. None of the dogs are fooled. They go by sense of smell more than looks. Funny story not involving twins but about dogs and recognizing people by smell. I live in Canada, and as a late teenager early 20s I had a girlfriend in California, and we would surprise visit each other sometimes. One time, she knew I was coming to visit but thought it was going to be about a week later than I actually came to visit. Her brother picked me up from the airport and I hung out with him while she worked that day. She worked down a country road off the highway at a dog training school, and she had a guide dog as she was half blind. I went with her parents to pick her up from work that night, but they let me out down the road from her work. I was dressed in a big yellow rain jacket, yet it wasn't raining, with the hood up. I had big black rain boots on and I was mostly covering my face with a scarf. I was hitchhiking in the dark in rain gear during a very dry summer night. Lol. Her dad pulled over to pick me up. I hopped in and her guide dog looked at me funny, then absolutely went crazy and jumped all over me. I scooted closer to her, then took the hood and scarf off. Good times. My wife is an identical twin. Our dog is very protective of the house and slow to trust new people. Usually when we have guests, they are subjected to a barrage of barking and he won't tolerate them petting him for days. When my sister-in-law came for the first time, my wife was not in the room and our dog was immediately super excited to meet her. Master returns level excited and very affectionate. He has never acted like that with anyone else before. At first I thought that he mistook her for my wife, but he was much quicker than average to accept our parents as well, so I think it's a familial smell. Deleted. Not a twin, an Irish twin if that helps, lol. And this question reminded me of when my sister got a cat when we were roommates in our early 20s. Her cat would always meow and scratch my bedroom door to be let out early in the morning, as my sister would sleep through it. Fast forward 14 years, and several cities and continental moves later for me. I'm back home to see family, staying with that sister in her new house for the first time, and my first morning wake up was from her cat meowing and scratching at my bedroom door. How did she remember me, given I only had seen her once a year over the span of several years? I cried when I heard that she had to be put to sleep when she was 17. R.I.P. Sadie the cleaning lady. Sadie remembered you after all those years. Amazing. Triplet here. My dog gets slightly confused at first if I've been away, like if I have to leave him with my parents and one of my sisters goes over. He thinks it's me and runs over all excited, but realizes it soon as he gets close enough to smell them, but it's not me. When I am there, he has no confusion. He knows who I am, and that my sisters aren't me. My dog had a lot of trauma and abuse before I adopted her, so it takes her a little bit to warm up to new people. Except with respect to my identical twin. She was utterly delighted to meet my twin, and my twin continues to be her second favorite person after me. When the whole family is together, and I leave for a minute, she might get confused for a few moments and think that I'm still there, because she sees my twin, but will realize her mistake and run to find me. Overall, she's not confused between the two of us but is thrilled to have a second version of me. Edit. I'm seeing a ton of comments saying that dogs identify people by scent. Which is mostly true, but my dog definitely gets confused when she's several yards away from me and or my twin. And my twin's dog, who loves everyone in the world with equal gusto, cannot say if he was more excited to see me, has confidently trotted up to me to hit me up for food or walkies, realized his mistake, and found his mama instead. My twin brother's cat looked at me and then tried to get me to feed it a wet food breakfast again, knowing damn well it had already eaten. That's just a cat thing. Our cats would do the same thing growing up, and none of us were twins. So I'm not a twin, but my sister and I look a lot alike to the point of her random acquaintances greeting me when I'm out and about. She has a cat who is not a people person, but it does show affection to my sister. Usually the cat stays out of the way when we visit, but this one time it randomly jumped on my lap while my sister was in the kitchen. I think it knew it messed up cause we just sat there for a couple of seconds staring at each other, after which point it hurried away as fast as its little legs could carry it. Haha, good times. I visited my twin last year and met her cat for the first time. The cat is quite skittish and will mostly stay away from new people. Despite us having different looks, hair-wise, her cat was the same around me as it was her. She wasn't scared around me, she tolerated me patting her, she even came for a snuggle in bed, which was unheard of with strangers. Deleted. Lol, love that you're answering this kind of as if you are your wife's pet. We both have cats. They couldn't care in the slightest. Yeah, my cat does not give a shit. Not a twin, but this time I visited my brother. His dog was there and wanted to go outside, so I put him out, then my brother got home. Poor dog was so confused. If the guy getting out of the car was Greg, then who is this guy that let me out of the house ? And he's looking back and forth. This is the kind of AskReddit stuff I love. I didn't think there would be many answers, but I'm having a blast reading this thread. My sister and I don't look identical, we are, but I had birth defects that stunted my growth and am 6 inches shorter. We do sound alike, though, and whenever we video chat, her dog and my cat get very confused by the same voice coming from the phone. Probably a coincidence, but my neighbors are twins, but one of them has Klinefelter syndrome, so she has stunted growth. My dog knew both of us from when he was a puppy, so I don't remember his reaction, but my sister's dog was a little confused and now doesn't love when I come over because she can't get away with anything. If I see her do something she isn't supposed to do, I scold her, and with 2 sets of eyes it's easy to spot naughty behavior. My husband's cat only loves him. It took her a good 3 years to actually sit on my lap or let me hold her. My husband's twin comes over for the first time, and guess who sits on his lap? That bitch. My cat curled up on my twin's chest for pets while she was in bed and hissed at her while aggressively purring. She loves my cat. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary when my cat met my twin sister for the first time. Then again, he's super friendly and will glom onto anyone who gives him scratches and or treats. Nothing. Dogs go more by smell, not sight. That said, our dogs, we each have 2, go crazy for the other twin. I think BC our voices and mannerisms are so much alike. When she comes to visit, my little Velcro dog, who never leaves my side, ditches me the whole time she's here, for days. He sleeps with her and everything. This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them. She began a sinewy bifurcation and eventually became 2 identical dogs, albeit slightly smaller than before. We both have cats. All 3 got wide-eyed and acted way less shy than they typically would. I'm sure they were like, okay, 2 moms,